It started on a Wednesday morning walk. It almost ended somewhere no parent comes back from the same. The path behind their neighborhood was half a mile of packed gravel that cut between two drainage ditches before opening into the park where the swings were. They had walked it 300 times. Gemma knew every turn, every dip in the gravel, every place where the ditches smelled like summer mud. She had been walking it with her daughter Isla since Isla was in a carrier against her chest, and now Isla was 2.5 years old and did not want to be in a carrier or hold a hand or maintain any speed that could be described as controlled. She wanted to run. She was that specific age where running was not a choice but a biological necessity, and the path behind the neighborhood was where she did it. Knox was a 4-year-old English Bulldog, 48 pounds, the build of a small appliance, a dog who communicated through a rotating sequence of snorts, sighs, and slow repositionings that Gemma had spent 4 years learning to read. He was not a fast dog. He was not an excitable dog. He was, in the specific way of bulldogs, who have decided they are family and will operate accordingly, reliable in the way of a piece of furniture you forget exists until you need it. He had never blocked Isla on a walk before, not once in the 8 months since she had been running the path. The first time it happened, Gemma thought he was tired. Knox could overheat in warm weather. His flat face made heat management a real and ongoing concern, and it was the kind of August morning that started at 82 degrees and intended to go higher. When he planted himself at the second curve in the path and would not move forward, she assumed he was reading his own body correctly. "Good boy," she circled back toward the park entrance from the long way around. The second time, 4 days later, was different. Isla had spotted the swings from 200 feet and was moving with the focused determination of a toddler who has identified her objective. Knox got in front of her, not beside her, not behind her directly in front of her path. 48 pounds of animal positioned so that Isla ran directly into his side and bounced backward onto her seat. She laughed. Knox did not move. He was facing the curve in the path. His body was angled slightly forward, nose working the air in the particular way Gemma had learned to recognize as not casual. Gemma looked at where he was looking. The path curved right around a stand of tall grass that grew up from the ditch edge. She could not see past the curve from where they were standing. She redirected Ela. Knox fell into step beside them without resistance, which was itself a data point she stored but did not yet read correctly. On the third occasion, Knox sat down in front of Ela and refused to move for 11 minutes while Ela pushed against his side and said go in the specific tone she used when she had decided something was happening and an adult or a dog was standing between her and it. Gemma corrected him 3 times. She tried to lead him forward by the collar. He did not budge. He was watching the curve. She called the vet's office the following morning. She described the behavior. The vet tech who took the call, a woman named Roberta Gunn who had worked animal medicine for 16 years, asked 2 questions: where exactly was the dog stopping, and what was the terrain like at the point he was blocking? Gemma described the curve, the drainage ditch, the tall grass growing from the bank. Roberta said, "Is there standing water in the ditch right now?" There had been a lot of rain. Roberta said, "Before your next walk, I want you to go ahead of your daughter and look around that curve carefully, and I want you to look low, at the ground level of the grass, not the path." Gemma went the next morning before Isla was awake. She walked the path alone, Knox on the leash beside her. At the curve, she stopped. She looked low, the way Roberta had told her to, at the place where the tall grass met the gravel at ground level. The cottonmouth was 6 feet from the path edge, a water moccasin, thick-bodied, 4 feet in length, coiled loosely in the shadow of the grass where it had moved in from the ditch. Its head was raised. Its mouth, when it opened briefly in response to her movement, was white. The inside of its mouth is what gives it the name. She did not run. She backed up slowly, turned around, and walked back the way she had come, her hands shaking by the time she reached the neighborhood entrance. She called the county wildlife management office. The officer who responded, a man named Terrence Polk, assessed the scene that afternoon and confirmed a female water moccasin in the grass adjacent to the path. He said, based on where it was positioned, anyone coming around that curve at ground height, a running child, would have had less than 2 feet of clearance. He paused. Cottonmouth strikes are fast and low. He looked at Gemma. He said, your dog knew exactly where it was. How long had he been stopping you at that curve? 3 times over 9 days. Terrence Polk looked at Knox. He said, he's been smelling it for at least that long. They can detect snake musk from significant distance. He's been putting himself between your daughter and something he could smell that she couldn't see. Has your dog ever planted himself on a walk in a way you couldn't explain? And something was waiting just out of sight. Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. The path is still there. The drainage management team came and cleared the ditch edge 2 days after the moccasin was relocated. It is, by every measure, safe to walk now. Knox still pauses at that curve. He stops, sniffs, checks the air for 30 seconds, then he continues. Isla runs ahead to the swings. He trots behind her at exactly the pace his stocky legs were built for, never quite catching up, never quite letting her out of his sight. He checked. She is clear, he continues. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. The next story involves a dog who began refusing to let a toddler into one room of the house and what the building inspector found inside the wall.